Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to the show. It is Monday, June 10th. Is that the date? Look at that. And my graphic actually works. How about that? We like that. My name is Tom Coffey. We're streaming live. We are live right now on Rumble, on YouTube, and on X. So I'm going to see if I can load up X. See if I can get... So far, I don't think anyone's ever seen me on X, but we'll keep trying it. Here we go. Make sure to mute that. Hope you all are having a great Monday. Nice to see you, Lucid. What's up? So that must mean we are live on the YouTube. For whatever reason, it doesn't get the thumbnail right. So I just have to try to upload the thumbnail after I start. That's not a pain in the ass, right? But anyway, there we go. Yeah, do we need new political labels? That's what we're talking about today. So I guess let's get to it. I always got to make sure I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I should have that on my my list at the beginning, but oh well. Anyway, yeah, let's just jump into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Today, I want to talk about something that's been shaking up Europe and should be making waves over here too, the recent European elections. Now, these elections have turned the continent upside down with far-right parties gaining ground in France and Germany, and the political landscape looking like a Picasso painting by a third grader. But here's the kicker. We're still using these old, tired, old labels like far right, extreme left to describe voters. These terms have become about as meaningful as saying you like beer. Yeah, what kind of beer, my friend? IPA, stout, lager? We've got a dozen types of beer, but only a couple categories for voters. It's time for some neologism. Neologism. It's a fun word to say. Neologism. Think about it. In a world of craft beers, we've got a whole spectrum covered. You can be a hophead, a stout devotee, a sour aficionado. But when it comes to politics, we're stuck with labels that don't mean much anymore. Calling someone far right or extreme left is like saying you drink alcohol. It's a non-starter. It doesn't capture the nuances, the flavors, the complexities of modern political identities. So why aren't we coining new terms for different types of voters? I'll tell you why. It's the big parties. I'm talking about both sides of the Atlantic. They don't want you to think too much about this. They don't want you to realize there's more out there than just the mainstream lager or the mass-produced light beer. No, they don't want you to explore the craft politics aisle, because then you might find something that actually suits your tastes, something that represents you. And if smaller political groups start getting more precise labels, that might start getting more power, and we can't have that, can we? Take a look at what's happening with RFK Jr. in the U.S. This guy has a sizable following, dedicated base, but you'd barely know it by watching the corporate media. They're not giving him the airtime he deserves because he doesn't fit neatly into the two-dimensional caricatures. He's not a classic IPA or simple Pilsner. He's more like a bourbon barrel-aged imperial stout, rich, complex, and a bit challenging. But the more we stick to our limited political vocabulary, the easier it is for big parties to control the narrative and keep the competition at bay. We need new terms that reflect the diverse political landscape we're actually living in. How about like eco-conservative for people that care about the environment but also hold traditional values, or techno-progressive for the folks who are all about innovation but still believe in a social safety net? Let's get creative, people. The European elections have shown us that the old labels don't work anymore. The political world is evolving, just like our taste in beer. So let's start talking about voters with the same sophistication we bring to our drink choices. Let's demand more from our political language. And maybe, just maybe, we'll start seeing a political landscape that truly represents the rich tapestry of our beliefs and values. So the next time someone tries to label you as far right or extreme left, just hand them a craft beer and say, try again, my friend. I'm a complex brew, and I deserve a name that fits. Cheers. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffey Nuance Show. Best and least watched censored commentary news show live right now. Flame on. Oh yeah. That's what's up. That's what I meant to have on the Chiron. Only 2 political labels, but right up. Let's talk about the European elections, because that's the big thing that happened today. Recent 4-day election has significantly impacted the European Union, with far-right parties challenging the traditional ruling parties of France and Germany. This shift will likely make decision-making more difficult in the European Parliament over the next 5 years. So in France, this is crazy. In France, President Macron called for a snap national election after Marine Le Pen's National Party outperformed his centrist party, gaining around 32% of the vote, compared to Macron's 15%. This may lead to a possible cohabitation with the far-right government. Yikes. In Germany, Chancellor Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats suffered their worst post-World War II result, obtaining just under 14% of the vote. Meanwhile, the far-right Alternative for Germany, AfD, secured about 16% despite recent scandals, at least made-up scandals pushed by the press. Italy saw Prime Minister Meloni's party, which the media says has neo-fascist roots. Okay. They won more than 28% of the national vote, positioning it as a significant force in future EU alliances. And so green, pro-business, liberal groups experienced heavy losses. And the center-right European People's Party remains the largest bloc in the EU Assembly. So anyway, this is going to have a massive change when it comes to issues like climate change, farm subsidies, all this kind of stuff. The leaders of the EU are supposed to meet on the 17th of this month to assess the election outcomes and discuss leadership positions, including whether Ursula von der Leyen will continue as head of the EU. So, yeah, crazy things happened over in Europe the last couple of days when it came to all of the EU elections. And we see a lot of shifting. But when I was looking at the coverage of this, I just couldn't help but think, why are we only having so few political labels with things? And that's what I was talking about in the monologue. In this country, you got left and right, and that's about it. And I guess you got wimpy center. I'm a centrist, or I'm a moderate, or I'm an independent. To a lot of people on the left, if you say you're independent, that means you're a right winger. That's kind of what it's become over the last couple of years. Anybody that's not riding with Biden is for Trump. And you're like, no, not necessarily. But, a lot of the extreme left, anyone to the right of them is a Nazi. Right? And I know that this is some kind of political strategy, if you will. But even like, let's say on a dating app, right? If you're on a dating app, you don't even get any choices. You're liberal, you're conservative, or you're moderate, I think. They give you 3 choices on the dating app. There's no choice that says, I think they're all crooks and should all be in prison, right? That- that's not there. Hey, I think the government should be a lot smaller, and that's not there either. So it really just got me thinking about that we need to find better ways to describe how we are politically. Because right now, I don't even know how I would describe myself. I don't. Um, I'm not affiliated with any political party. I'm registered, and in Oregon, right, they have different things that you can, but I'm registered as not affiliated with a political party. That's how I'm registered. But if someone were to ask me, "Hey, Tom, where are you politically?" I was just like, "Lock them all up." um, so it got me thinking about, like you've seen all these different political quizzes that you can take to find out where you are, like the um, these different access quizzes, spectrum quizzes. Where are you on this? The political compass. Now, I've had issues with the political compass because it was basically created by some libertarians to kind of tell everyone that they're libertarian, right? That's kind of one of the point. That was the point of creating that test, is to get you to take the test and go, oh, well, maybe I'm a libertarian, right? It's very clever. It's a clever thing to do. It's not exactly honest, though. And just having 2 axes for where we are politically, I don't know that that's it. Are you authoritarian or libertarian? Okay. Where are you socially? I don't know. That's not enough. So I came up with a little something. A little something and this is just by the way, this is just a rough draft. I was just playing around. I don't like this little quiz that I came up with, but here's a little quiz that I came up with. So let's check that out. Oh, wow. I had the chat on the whole time. I didn't realize that. Or do I? No, I don't. That's interesting. I don't think huh. I think I have one of the settings wrong, and so you can't see the chat. Huh. Let's see. Can you? Well, back to the drawing board. Got to figure things out. I have it on my, well, let's see. Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta figure that out. What I'm seeing on my screen is not the same thing that's going out to the world. How about that? Oh, I'd love to have an engineer, someone to figure this crap out for me, but I don't. So anyway, I came up with a little test. If you want to just, I'll just go through it. We're not going to do the points. I guess you could, right? I'm just going to give you questions with A, B, C, and D. And this is just like a first draft of a political quiz. Obviously, I'm not real super happy with it, but I just thought we need to come up with a better way and maybe some more different labels for where people are politically than just liberal or conservative, right? We can do better. And I know we got progressive these days, but progressive these days doesn't mean the same thing that progressive meant a couple of years ago, right? Progressive, to me, has just kind of become like super woke, right? But 5 years ago, it just kind of meant you were against war or something. So I don't know. Anyway, for each question, choose the answer that best represents your view. And at the end, we'll tally votes. We're not going to really tally votes. I just wanted to throw this out to get some ideas, because maybe I'll work on a political quiz in the future. That might be a fun thing to put up online if I can finalize a political quiz. So the first question would be like, what is your stance on environmental regulation? Okay, on the regulations. So, do you strongly support strict environmental regulations? Well, so the way this will work is you just take 4 points for the A, 3 for the B, 2 for the C, 1 for the D. Okay, for the D, but I'm bummed. Support strong, strict environmental regulations. Well, that'd be worth 4 points. Support and then choice B would be support environmental regulations with economic considerations. So a little bit less. That'd be worth 3 points. Neutral or indifferent toward environmental regulations. They're like, whatever. 2 points. And D would be oppose strict environmental regulations, and that would be worth 1 point. So you see what we're doing here is we're just essentially having a spectrum, and at the end of it, we'll come up with a little label for you. Now, for me, I think more regulations is more bad. However, I don't want my next door neighbor like doing tire fires, right? I would hate it if my next door neighbor just decided to start a business burning trash on his property, right? So obviously I would want something, but that's kind of where I'm at. Okay, question 2, and I just got 10 questions, and I just thought we'd go through it just to talk about different ways that we can come up with some labels. How do you feel about the government involvement in healthcare, right? A, do you support universal healthcare funded by the government? B, support a mixed system of both public and private options? I wish I could put this on the screen, but I don't know what I'm doing. I got to figure that out. Anyway, C, private healthcare. You prefer private healthcare with minimal government involvement. And D, you strongly oppose all government involvement in healthcare. So you see how this is kind of working out. Now for me, typically, right? I'm just like in most things, anytime we get the government involved with anything, it seems to cost more and it seems to be worse, right? That's typically how things go. There's trade-offs. But, however, on the other hand, we're the only country, in the first world that doesn't provide healthcare for everybody. I mean, like, we're the richest country in the history of history. We should be able to make sure that everyone's taking care of their healthcare. So I have mixed feelings about that one. And if we're going to fund all these wars, we can fund somebody getting a checkup. That's just my take. All right, what's your view on immigration? A, support open borders and lenient immigration policies. So that'd be 4 points. Support controlled immigration with a path to citizenship, 3 points. C, support strict immigration controls with limited immigration. That'd be 2 points. Or D, oppose immigration and support strong border enforcement. That'd be 1 point. I'd be leaning more toward C or D myself. Obviously, there are things that we don't all understand, why the border's been wide open, why the U.S. government is funding all these NGOs to bring in millions of people into this country that don't share the values of the typical American, don't share the same culture. there's something else going on that we don't really understand. But why are we funding it? Right? A lot of these NGOs that are in Central America are funded by the taxpayer. It's like we're funding our own destruction. So I don't know. I don't know about that. Anyway, another question. How should the government handle economic inequality? A, implement heavy taxation on the wealthy to redistribute the wealth. So take from anyone that makes and give to anyone that takes, I guess, right? B, support progressive taxation and social welfare programs. That's probably where the country's at right now. B. C, neutral or believe market forces should address inequality. That'd be 2 points. D, oppose taxation for redistribution and support free market solutions. 1 point. I'd probably go with that myself. I don't think that taxes should be used to redistribute things. Taxes should be used to pay for things. Of course, right now our taxes don't even pay for anything, right? They just print the money. You know, was it 10 billion a day that we're adding to the debt? Yeah. So clearly taxes are not paying for the government services that are happening today. Anyway, question 5, what is your view on technology and innovation? A, strongly support government investment in technology and innovation. That's 4 points. B, support public-private partnerships in technology. 3 points. C, prefer minimal government involvement in tech innovation. 2 points. Or D, oppose government intervention in technology sectors. So a lot of what we have right now is because our government funded it. The internet, as we know it, the internet that the whole world uses, was funded by U.S. tax dollars originally. It started out as a government project. And a lot of the technology was also funded by the government. So many companies that we know today were started by or funded by our Defense Department, our State Department. They funded all of those. So if you like things like Facebook, Google, Amazon, all of those have had a lot of our government funding it. So if you like those things, then that might, you might be on that side of the spectrum or the other. Anyway, you kind of get the idea of what I made for this quiz. I had 10 questions. I'm only on, I guess I'm on 6 right now. I'll just read through the other questions. I don't need to go through all the answers. But how do you feel about social issues such as LGBTQ plus rights? Right. So on one side, you strongly support the rights and progressive social policies. And on the other side, you oppose social policies and support more traditional values. What's your stance on education? Right. You support free public education for all, including higher education. Right. So all college should be free. Everything should be free. Free. And molded and crafted by the state. Okay. So that's on one side. And, the other side would be to oppose government funding of education. Now, I taught in public education myself, and I got out of it. I didn't like it, and I don't think that it's necessarily, I don't think it works. But I don't know a good alternative for it. Another question that might come up is, how important is national sovereignty to you? Question 9 would be, what's your perspective on law enforcement and criminal justice? And the 10th question I came up with is, how do you view economic globalism? Right. So you on one side, strongly support globalization and free trade. On the other side, oppose globalization, support economic nationalism. Okay. So forget the scoring because we're not doing that. But I just wanted to come up with a few more labels for where we're at. So, for example, On one side, you might be a globalist progressive. Okay, so if you were a globalist progressive, you strongly support progressive policies, international cooperation, seeing the world as an interconnected community. And I think that would be a lot of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, all this kind of stuff. Klaus Schwab, right? That would be that side. Next, you might be a techno-progressive. You favor technological innovation and progressive social policies, believing in a power of technology to drive social change. Okay, so that's a political label I've never heard, a techno-progressive. I don't know. Maybe someday I will come up with something that will resonate with the world. I don't know. So a little bit further down the spectrum might be a social market advocate. So you support a mixed economy with social welfare programs and balancing market forces with government intervention for social good. Just kind of like a middle. Next to that, like further to the right, would be a balanced centrist. You hold moderate views supporting a balance between progressive and conservative policies. So just kind of right in the middle. Then further on down or up, however you see it, national populist. So you would prioritize national sovereignty and economic nationalism, favoring policies that put your country's interest first. Okay. And then you could also, even further down would be a liberty-leaning conservative. You support personal freedom, limited government, and traditional values, advocating for free market economy with minimal regulation. So this was just kind of the first draft that I came up with, but you can better understand a more nuanced political identity beyond just the traditional label of, left and right. Much like you go to a brewery, you got craft beers, and you got this wide variety. This weekend, I went down to the Rose Festival, and I went with my sister to a brewery afterwards. And this is what got me thinking about it. And there had to have been 40 different beers that were available to choose. So we got 40 beers. We got like a couple political labels. We should be able to do better than that. So anyway, that was just kind of my first draft of a political brew, right? What political brew you would be. But anyway, let me know what you think. If you got any good ideas for a political label, because just like far right and extreme left don't really cut it anymore, do they? Anyway, I look forward to reading your comments. And that's all I have for you today. But I'll go through all your comments here in just a sec, and I will be back on Wednesday with a big idea. Anyway, until then, peace. So yeah, I thought I had it figured out how I could get the comments on the screen, but apparently it was only on my screen and not on your screen. I don't know. Anyway, hey everybody, we got lots of people here today. Lucid, Doug, Joe, what's up? Joe says, if we didn't have political labels, how else would we be able to dismiss the communists without having to engage with them? I like that. And come on, Tom, I can... There we go. What's your political brew? That's what it should have been up there. Anyway. Democrat ideas need to be labeled as were. That's Lucid moments of reality with a good check. Italia's neo-fascist leader ended up supporting mass immigration until some civil unrest. Yeah, that's the thing, is you can really tell who holds the power based on what the media is saying about them. But yeah, neo-fascist, and frankly, if anyone is comparing someone to Nazis, they're just projecting, in my opinion. Natasha says, surely there can be more than 2 political labels if there can be more than 2 gendered labels. Yeah, we should be able to go with that, right? Joe says, it's sad that the communists have adopted and desecrated the label of liberal. They are anything but liberal. Can we go back to the old days of saying commies aren't people? No, everyone are people. Everyone is people, I guess, would be correct. Everyone is people. Everyone, right, is one, is people, is a people. Everyone is a people. Grammatically, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. Joe says, I'm not sure you could classify regulation restricting neighbor tire fires as being strict. Well, yeah, I wouldn't call that strict myself, but I'm just saying without any regulation, right? My next door neighbor could just start burning trash all day. Right? We need to have some kind of regulation or something. To me, that was like the hashtag not all argument. Make medical insurance illegal. I don't know about that. German healthcare is pretty neat. They have a public option where you cannot get the service that you want from the government facility in a timely manner. They will pay for your private clinic usage. Oh, nice. We got someone recommending the flat tax. People should feel the pain for voting for increased taxes. Well, the thing is, we don't understand incentives. People don't understand incentives at all. We've had a big issue with this here in Portland, right? We came up with a bunch of dumb, my opinion, dumb new tax measures where they're doing like an extra tax if you make over if you make over $250,000 a year. They're like, oh, okay, well, we want an extra 4% or something like that, right? In being in the county of Multnomah, being in Portland proper. Well, the result of this is that a lot of people that were making lots of money, they would just buy a house outside of the city. They may still, live here, but they register their home in Clackamas County, just the next county over, and then they don't have to pay it. And guess what? Then they're not paying any tax to the city. So we've had the money collected go down because the people that were contributing the most have left. And I don't know that they always left, right? They might just be moving to a different house and registering a different house as their main house. This is actually something that our current mayor did. For many years, he had an apartment downtown in the Pearl, which is like a high-priced area downtown. He had a house up in the West Hills, a very nice big house, but he registered his residence across the river in Vancouver, Washington, at his girlfriend's apartment. And that way, he got out of paying the city taxes. And that's the guy that we actually elected our mayor. Yeah. And somehow he's allowed to run, even though he wasn't technically living in the city. The whole thing's crazy. But that's the thing is you really have to understand incentives. And if you don't understand incentives, you shouldn't be making any kind of tax policy whatsoever. National populist sounds like a civic nationalism. Yeah, it's tricky because anytime you use the word national in something, right, that's a tinged word. It's kind of a toxic word, right? Perhaps you remember the National Socialist Party of Germany, right? The word national in German is national, right? And national, right, That's Nazi. So the word Nazi is just the first sound of the German word national. Okay. So you can see you might not want to use national in your label. It's a bit tinged. But I thought you were going to detach from nuance, Tom. Yeah, I know. But old habits die hard. No, I was really just thinking about this literally this weekend when I was looking at the European results, and I'm like, wow, they got lots of political parties over there, but over here, you're left or right. Far right. They never say far left, right? They say far right, extreme left. Yeah, Soylent Green is people. Thank you. That's more grammatically correct, Rev. I appreciate that. Is a people. I have heard, just as I've heard in some economics books, that it is unfounded to believe that tax rates correlate to tax income. Oftentimes, when tax rates are decreased, there are situations where the velocity of money is increased. More transactions then means more taxed income. Well, that's complicated, and you really need to look at all the incentives that are there. It's hard when you overgeneralize things, but when you're trying to discuss things, you overgeneralize things. For a long time, our taxes in this country were almost nothing, and then they were almost everything. Tax rates have varied incredibly in the history of the United States. The big joke is that the delusion to think that our taxes actually pay for government services, when that's totally not the case at all. It's one big house of cards that hasn't fallen yet. It's a massive Ponzi scheme that will eventually collapse. But I guess if you're the only superpower in the world, you can hold on a bit longer. That tax thing in Portland reminds me of the county in Louisiana. They created a new county and got out of the oppressive one they were in. Now they're mad they lost all that money because of politics. Yeah, it's always with everything. There's pros and cons. With everything, there's trade-offs, right? There's always trade-offs. There's always trade-offs. If you want to see an exaggerated version of that, just look at what's happening in Argentina right now. They're trying to fix the economy. Afuera, President Milei is cutting lots of services. He's trying to cut all the waste to get things under control. I don't hear Biden, Trump, or Kennedy talking about doing a lot of cutting of the government. That's one of the tricky things, is anytime you make something new in the government, it's just around forever, right? And people get employed, and systems get established, and then it's there forever. That's why it's really important to decide what new things you want to add to government, to the government. Yes, we got taxation is theft in the comments. I tell you, that is one of the things that turns me off to the Libertarian Party, because I think that I am a bit more precise in my language. I think that I would say, to me, that's not true. Taxation is not theft to me. Now, you could make the case that taxation is extortion, okay? And I would go with you on that, but it's not theft, okay? It's extortion. And but I think the Libertarian Party has a lot of problems. I mean, just look at who they nominated for their candidate this year. That's such an embarrassment. I would be embarrassed to call myself a libertarian based on the past couple candidates that they've chosen. But yeah, they're an interesting bunch. I forgot, what was the tax rate that led to the Boston Tea Party? Wasn't it 2 or 3%? So 2 or 3%. I forget. Oh, Lucid says here, Joe, 3 pennies for every pound of tea was the British tax that caused the Boston Tea Party. Okay. So 3 pennies for every pound. So I don't know exactly the price of a pound of tea. But yeah, in hindsight, it's not. I think it was a lot less than the taxes are today. Rev 68 says taxation is armed robbery. Don't pay your taxes, and the guys with guns come to throw you in jail. Ask Wesley Snipes. Yeah, I would go with armed robbery is closer, but it's just, I wouldn't say it's theft, just because theft is they're taking it from you, and you're not technically taking it from you, like you're giving it to them so you don't go to jail. Right? So to me, that would be more extortion, but we're just getting semantics about it. Retribution by making everyone's life better, and they want to undo the damage of prosecuting your political rivals. Extortion is a better term, but you get the idea. You get screwed on every purchase from the time you make your money. Very true. Very true. Anyway, I had this idea that I would come up with a political test. I tried to come up with one. I'm disappointed that I couldn't get it on the screen. The issue is once I'm done with my live stream, I don't go back and try to figure out and make adjustments to it. I don't look at any of the technical stuff until the next time I'm doing a stream. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I got to figure out how to put the comments on the screen. And then it's too late. That's my own issue that I have to do. But yeah, I was just trying to come up with some different political labels. I did kind of like the idea of globalist progressive, right? Because you use the term globalist and they say that that's some kind of dog whistle, blah, blah, blah. But a globalist progressive, maybe you could use that term. Techno progressive, social market advocate, national populist, liberty leaning conservative. Because there's a difference between a liberty leaning conservative and just like a Christian conservative or something. We got a little difference there. Anyway, I wanted to come up with some new labels. I didn't really do it. I came up with some, but I haven't really fully flushed the whole quiz out. But I think it would be an interesting quiz if I can actually come up with the quiz to make it work. So we'll see. That's one of the things is I have a good intention and I start something and I don't really finish it. I did want to say that I found it interesting. The video I made on the live stream on Friday, got a lot of feedback on that one. I think some people saw the show that hadn't seen the show before, and a lot of them were not happy with my take on things. I do believe, having watched all of the coverage of Brianna Joy Gray's firing, even an interview with her on Glenn Greenwald, I do stand by what I said. She didn't get fired for being anti-Israel. She got fired for being an asshole and for going too far. Because I don't buy into the narrative that you could do something every single day for, 8 months, 9 months, and then they finally do it. It's like, no, that's not if you're doing something every day for 9 months, it's okay, right? Just in this time, she went a bit too far. That's my take. I have seen all of the reporting on it, and it looks like the entire media is going with that narrative, which I don't agree with, is that she was fired for being anti-Israel. That's the way that it's being reported in all the media, and my little tiny point of view, I guess, is not represented in any of the other news channels. At least I didn't find a single news site that agreed with me. So I guess I'm wrong, right? Is that's what I'm supposed to learn here? I guess I'm wrong. The corporate media is right. Alternative media is right. They all agree, right? All the alternative media and the corporate media, they all agree on the reason for her firing. So it's just believe what they tell you and not what you see with your own eyes. Anyway, hey everybody, thanks for sticking by and hanging out. And yeah, have a beautiful day. I will be back on Wednesday. Until then, peace.